Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion. This morning, we look at a sector that is quietly accelerating Ghana's auto-industrial future. All of the issues from semi-knockdown to complete knockdown plants, we'll be assessing all of the issues. It's no longer a question of whether we can assemble vehicles here in Ghana, but rather the scope, and of course the skill with which this would be done. That's exactly what we'll be looking at on today's edition of the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion. I must say it's the final one, what a month it's been, looking at all of the critical sector and issues affecting Ghana's business space. And we'll be doing exactly that on the show today. I have a wonderful panel for you today, a wealth of experience in their respective fields, and they'll be sharing with us all of these issues right here on the panel. You don't want to miss out on it. We'll take a quick break. When I'm back, I'll introduce my guest, and there's a lot more right here. Don't go away. Yeah, welcome back. This is the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion. The big conversation today, we are literally driving Ghana forward. How are we doing so? We're focusing on Ghana's auto industrial assembly, all the conversations thereof, and we'll be looking at how to improve and ensure that all of the gains are realized. Of course, there was that 2019 document, the Ghana Automotive Development Policy. It was passed. Have we achieved the gains? What was the success story? What do we need to do to ensure that we are able to achieve all of the things that we sought to do in that particular document? This is the platform where we bring out all of those issues. Of course, this roundtable discussion is in partnership with Absa Bank, sponsored also by MTN Ghana, Petra Trust, and Zonda Tech Ghana Limited. Of course, Absa is also a sponsor, and we are really grateful to them for the opportunity to put this together. I'll introduce my guest, and we'll delve into the big conversation. Like I said, they come to this panel with some experience, which will be useful to bring out all of the issues on the show today. I'll go on and start with the introduction. Salem Kalmoni needs no introduction. He's been in the space, wealth of experience, many, many years, CEO of Japan Motors, and also the deputy president for the Association of Auto Assemblers here in Ghana. Salem, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I hope you're well.
Yeah. I'm pretty well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. We'll be looking forward to the insights you share with us on the show. Also sitting right next to Salem is Kwesi Oforientwi. He's head of strategic business at the Ministry of Trade, a very, very key stakeholder in all of the conversations we'll be having. Kwesi, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you.
Amazing. I hope you're fine.
I'm doing well.
How is the minister doing?
She's doing very well.
Great.
And she
nice.
sends her greetings.
Amazing. Well received. Moving on, we also have Jeffrey Opon Pepra. Let me just go before I come back. Jeffrey Opon Pepra. Jeffrey is the CEO of Volkswagen Ghana and also the president of the auto assemblers industry in Ghana. You're welcome. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Jude. Thanks for having me here.
Always a pleasure. 2 days ago when we were watching the Ghana game, there was a substitution made. And one of the players, Opon Pepra, came in and literally had a goal line clearance. And I can imagine you are doing exactly that for the automotive industry in Ghana.
Definitely we're here to score the goal.
Yeah, here to score the goal. And also prevent the goals, right?
As well.
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you so much, and you're welcome. We also have joining us in studio Eugene Sangmote. He's the team lead of Ghana Jet UK. He'll be telling us what they do pretty shortly on the show. Eugene, good morning and welcome as well.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jude. It's a pleasure to be here.
Amazing. And finally, we have joining us on the panel Professor Ebo Texan. He's almost like one of us here because a lot of the time we have him here at ChannelOne and Citi FM. Prof, good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Yes.
And good morning to your viewers.
He's
it's good to be here, as always.
Professor with the University of Ghana Economic Department. Really, really grateful for your time. So we'll start off the discussion now, probably start off with Salem, but even before we take your preliminary comments, we have an interesting video for our viewers. We want to just give you a summary of all what this conversation will be about and also to put things into perspective. Let's take a look at this.
Ghana's efforts to develop a local automotive industry continue to take shape through vehicle assembly operations established under the Ghana Automotive Development Program. At the Toyota Shusho Manufacturing Ghana facility in Tema, vehicles are assembled for the local market, contributing to government's broader industrialization agenda and efforts to create skilled employment opportunities. The company commenced vehicle assembly operations in Ghana in 2021 following investments by Toyota Shusho Corporation and its local partners. The facility currently assembles models including the Toyota Hilux and the Suzuki Swift using semi-knocked down technology, where major vehicle components are imported and assembled locally. Each vehicle passes through a series of stages including component fitting, mechanical assembly, inspection and testing before it is released for sale. The establishment of the plant forms part of a wider policy initiative aimed at attracting automotive manufacturers to Ghana and developing a competitive vehicle assembly industry.
We receive the SKD, semi-knockdown units, from South Africa, and then we assemble them here, right? We have 6 assembly processes. Our first process, we separate the cab and then the deck from the chassis, right? And then we also fit parts like the tires, the fuel tank filler, the bumper reinforcement guards. We fill in the brake fluid, we do the brake bleeding. We also fit the ECU connectors. We fit the front bumper, rear bumper. We fit the intercooler. And then we also do the ECU registration here and then the key registration. We also fill in the coolants, the power steering fluid. We fit the logo, the tail lights, the headlights. In general, we fit about 288 parts in total for the Hilux. After the assembly, we'll go to the inspection line, right? So our inspection is divided into 2 processes. We have the static inspection and then the dynamic inspection. So for the static inspection, they check the exterior, if there are any scratches, dents, and they also check fitments, both interior and then in the engine. For dynamic, that's more functional checks, right? So we do the wheel alignments. We have the side slip tester to check if your vehicle is swaying to one side or the other. We do the headlights adjustments. We also do the roller brake test, where we check the speed. We do the speed test. We do the four-wheel drive functionality checks. We do the ABS checks, anti-locking braking system. We do the brake checks in general. We also check the transmission. We also have the shower test, where we check if there's any leakage in the vehicle. We also have the final buy-off stage, where we check the security system, we check the door locks, we fit the airbag, and then we go to the pre-delivery inspection, PDI. We do overall checks on the vehicle. We check if there are any error codes in the vehicle, and then there are any exterior or functional defects that were missed during the initial stage of the inspection process. So basically, we do about 200 to 300% checks on our vehicles. So before our vehicles go out, we make sure the quality is top-notch.
Officials say the operation has created direct and indirect employment opportunities while providing technical training for Ghanaian workers in vehicle assembly and quality control. Industry stakeholders believe the long-term success of the sector would depend on increased local participation in the automotive value chain, including the production of components and supporting services.
Only 3 experts working here. For the production team, those on the shop floor, they are all Ghanaians. The experts are more of administrative. Generally, there will always be ups and downs when it comes to production. So yes, there are periods where our production volume will drop. We also have periods where it will peak. So yeah, but we always try to maintain a stable level of production as much as we can.
The Toyota Assembly Plant is one of several vehicle assembly facilities established in Ghana in recent years, reflecting growing interest in local vehicle production. While the industry remains at a developing stage, stakeholders say continued investment, policy support, and market growth will be important in sustaining operations and attracting additional manufacturers.
So we assemble Toyota and then Suzuki. For the Toyota, we assemble the Toyota Hilux, that's the pickup, and then the Suzuki will do the Suzuki Swift. For the Toyota Hilux, as I said, is the SKD, semi-knockdown. So we assemble about 288 parts. For the Suzuki, is the enhanced semi-knockdown. So we assemble over 2,000 parts, right? So Suzuki is on a higher level than the Hilux in terms of assembly. We do more assembly compared to the Hilux. In a day, we're able to assemble 7 units. So peak production, we can do 8. We can do 7 Hilux and then 1 Suzuki. That's peak production, 8 units. In a year, we are looking at roughly 900 to 1,000 vehicles in a year. We're always able to meet our demands. Yep. Generally, there'll always be ups and downs when it comes to production. So yes, there are periods where our production volume will drop. We also have periods where it will peak. So yeah, but we always try to maintain a stable level of production as much as we can.
As assembly activities continue, industry players are assessing opportunities to deepen local content, strengthen technical capacity, and enhance the contribution of automotive manufacturing to Ghana's industrial development.
So welcome back. Having seen that beautiful story Toyota Ghana has come up with, it's important. We mentioned that there are 6 different assembly plants here in Ghana with different levels of installed production capacity. We'd also want to give you a different story, so we give you a clearer perspective of what the situation is. We'll go to Nissan now and see what they also have for us.
When the first vehicle rolled off an assembly line in Ghana in February 1969, few could have imagined the country's ambition to become a regional automotive hub. More than 5 decades later, that vision is being revived through a growing network of vehicle assembly plants producing globally recognized brands right here in Ghana. Vehicle assembly in Ghana began with the assembly of Nissan vehicles at the Auto Parts Vehicle Assembly Plant in Tema. Over the years, the industry struggled amid changing economic conditions and a flood of imported vehicles. But a renewed push under the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, launched in 2019, has attracted major international manufacturers back into the country. Today, Ghana hosts multiple assembly plants producing brands including Nissan, Toyota, Peugeot, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Kia, and indigenous manufacturer Kantanka. Since the policy's introduction, the country has established a strong foundation for automotive assembly with several operational plants and expanding production capacity. Inside the Nissan assembly facility, precision and teamwork drive every stage of production. Vehicles begin as hundreds of imported components. On the production floor, technicians fit chassis, install engines, mount electrical systems, and conduct quality checks before each vehicle undergoes rigorous testing.
In terms of the assembly process, we have 6 stations. In station 1, that's what we call the marriage operations, where we marry the engine and transmission onto the chassis. We fix the tires, we fix the propeller shaft, we fix all suspensions parts. They are all done in station 1. In station 2, we fit the cap, the vehicle cap where the driver sits inside. That's where we fit and fix all the other accessories with the cap. In station 3, we fit the bucket. The bucket, as you see, the load box. We call it load box. That's what we do in station 3, and it's accessories. In station 4 is where we do the engine compartment assembling, where we have the pipes, the harnesses, the wires, everything about the engine compartment. That's where we do in station 4. In station 5, we do what we call the feeding operations. This is where we fill the various fluid, the coolant, the brake fluid, the power steering fluid, the AC fluid, and we fill the fuel. In station 6, that's what we do what we call the first quality check of the vehicle. So these are the 6 processes under which the vehicle is assembled. assembling 4 brands. We have the Nissan brand, we have the Peugeot brand, we have the Photon brand, and then we have the Geely brand. Now, each of these brands, we have some models that we assemble. With the Nissan, we are assembling the Nissan Navara. With the Photon, we are assembling 4 models. We are assembling the Photon TM, the Tunland, the Miller, and then the View bars as a 16 sister bars. And then with the Geely, we are doing 2 models. We have the Cool-Ray Grand and a GF and the Cool-Ray Neo, or we call it the Cool-Ray Light. Now with the Peugeot, we are doing the Peugeot 3008, which currently we are assembling, and we are also doing the Peugeot Landtrack pickup. So making 9 models with 4 brands.
Beyond vehicle production, the industry is creating opportunities for engineers, technicians, welders, and logistics operators while building local expertise in advanced manufacturing. The sector's broader ambition is to develop a local supply chain capable of producing components and spare parts in Ghana, reducing dependence on imports and retaining more value within the economy.
Assembly basically we work through 5 departments. We have the administration, we have the logistics, we have the production, we have the quality department, and we have the facility maintenance department. And these are the key departments that undertake the production work, because the facility maintenance take care of all our equipment, make sure that they are maintained very well. The production does the assembling of the vehicles, and the quality department is responsible for checking the quality of the vehicles. And then we have also another process we call the process engineer, who take care of all our tools. And he's the one that calibrate the tools and make sure that the tools are calibrated according to each torque specification for a particular operation. And I also have the vehicle auditor. He is the one that satisfies every assembled vehicle that is ready for delivery to the customers.
The automotive industry is expected to generate highly skilled jobs, encourage technology transfer, and reduce the country's dependence on imported vehicles, all key objectives of Ghana's automotive policy.
Direct and indirect, we are about 70. Yeah, because you took the various departments. We have the security, that we employ to take care of the security night and day. We have the canteen that we employ people to take care of their canteen. And then you have the main operation people, as I mentioned, the various departments. So it means that if our vehicles, if they demand, because if they are not competitive in the market, then it means that the dealer or the owner of the company may find that you are also a person that, if you look at, if I will import the same vehicle and I'll sell it at a good rate, and I will bring it in and assemble, and it's the same price. Meanwhile, I'm incurring additional costs. I'm paying salaries, and I'm paying utility bills, and I'm paying people. It's not worth it. Because when I bring in the full one from outside, I'm not going to pay salaries or the people. I'll save that.
Today, local assemblers are not only putting together cars and trucks for the domestic market, but are also laying the foundation for job creation, skills development, and economic growth. For every vehicle leaving the assembly line, the story is bigger than transportation. It is a story of industrialization, jobs, technology, and a renewed effort to build more of what Ghana consumes. More than 50 years after Ghana's first vehicle assembly plant opened its doors, the industry is once again gaining momentum, this time with the ambition of making Ghana a manufacturing hub for the West Africa region.
So you heard there my colleague and news editor Nana Tufo, and indeed it's a sector that is quietly gaining momentum. We believe strongly that it has what it takes to accelerate our auto industrial future. The big question is, how long will we see the gains? When will we get to see our own version of Detroit or Yokohama in Japan, or whether it's Wolfsburg in Germany where Volkswagen's headquarters is, or even Coventry in the UK where they produce a lot of these vehicles? Where will we see our own Kokompe and Aboso Kai and Siame magazine Some of the guests in here are laughing, but by the way, we have our lovely audience in here. Let's put our hands together for them. Amazing. Let's do it much louder. Yeah. So the big question we'll be answering for today's panel discussion is, when do we see that big takeoff really for our auto assembly industry? I'll start off the discussion now. Salem Kalmoni is in studio. I'm starting with you because the one closest to me. I hope it's fine.
Very good.
Amazing. So how did we get here, right? I know we launched the policy in 2019 with quite some fanfare and serious and huge expectations, right? But I want you to just give us a brief overview of what the story has been and how we've gotten here.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. Actually, we've been here a long time ago. We were there in the 60s. As far back as the 1960s, there had been many assembly plants, even more so than now. And some of them were doing completely knocked down. I have behind me Ghanaian Times 1968, February, when we commissioned the Nissan assembly plant. As far back as that, that's over 50 years ago. And it went on, actually it closed down in 1979. And at that time, I understand there were about 11 assembly plants in Ghana. All came to an inglorious end in 1979. And I was a witness to this as a child. They were actually doing completely knocked down. They were actually spot welding and doing everything. So we were there before. The thing is have we learned our lessons? Now it shut down at that time, all the assembly plants, and there was even an ecosystem of component manufacturing. I believe at that time there were even Bonsa tires. This is where we got our tires. There were batteries that were locally sourced and so forth. So all of this closed down. It was, perhaps the economists can tell us, I understand it was a World Bank imposed program called structural something, a program, So they forced Ghana to close it down. Now in 2019, the government decided to revive this program again. And at that time, and I think perhaps my colleague on the left from the government can tell us more how it was revived. Yes, I'll leave it for him.
Interesting. So 1968 was the first time. 11 years later, it was nowhere to be found. And we've tried to bring it back to life. Let me go to your colleague who also works with you at the AAAG, and I'm referring to the Automotive Assembly Association of Ghana. Mr. Opompepra, I mean, it's sad to hear that we started this with quite some optimism, right? And of course, I get the sense that there have been some political issues as well that has led to this. Be that as it may, 2019, we launched a policy. I look at the policy, right, and what it intended to achieve. Would you say some 6-7 years down the line, you are content with how far we've come?
Thank you very much, Jude, and thanks for listeners and the viewers. Pleasure being here. Back to your question, as Salim, my colleague, also touched base on. This has started long time, and we fall short that we're coming back. And to your question, to be content, it's very, the answer will be, I would say no, because where we started from, we have case studies back in '69, so I think we should do better than what we are doing today. The policy is a great policy, which was a very, from a policy perspective, was a big improvement from what we were doing in '69 or the '70s. So the expectations or my content also is we should be doing much more better, but we are still in our more like a try and error phase. But I think we should have a belief in this policy, and we should have a belief in this industrialization agenda, because this is not a political thing, it's more a national thing, because it's me and you, it's every children of today or tomorrow are all part of it. In your introduction, you make reference to Detroit, Germany, and all that. This is all that's how they all started. So we have come far, and where we are almost across the bar. We are almost across the bar. Just few things that we need to have a political will and a government to push through. And once we are over the bar, I think there's going to be more content that you want to have. So I wouldn't say I'm very content about it, because we still have a little bit way to go, and it is tough, but if we are bold and then take courageous steps, I think we definitely will reach out, because I must say our neighbors are also watching us. They have learned so much from what we are doing. I mean, last week we have almost 23 countries, member states from the African continent in the country coming to learn. There was a workshop last week under auspices of AFTA and Afri-Eximbank. 23 member states that are all interested in auto industry. Ghana is more like a model because our policy. We have it all. So we need to cross the bar. Thank you very much.
Interesting. And I'll still stay with you. You raised 3 important points. The first saying that we are almost there and we need to cross the bar, suggesting that there's so much more we can achieve, if I get you correctly. You also talk about the fact that even in the sub-region, there's enormous competition and we need to take advantage of that. And if I got you correctly as well, you said that it's an issue of national importance.
Correct.
Listening to you carefully, it suggests to me that despite the shortcomings of all of this that we are discussing, there may have been some gains, right? So a lot of the time we are quick to dwell on the negatives. I would want you to just very briefly highlight, if any, some successes of this.
I mean, there has been a success stories. You saw it on the introduction video that we saw, because where we start everything again. And the success story for the policy is for a policy to come out, and within 3 years, you have 6 international companies, OEMs, running after the policy to invest. This is a great success that we should work over in it. We should tell us that what we are doing something right. So we should continue to do it properly. So that is a success story that I will talk about. At least we do have young people also working in our assembly plants. We do have also logistic partners and other industries that supporting it. The ecosystem is great. So this is a success story that we see that we have moved. I remember the gentleman, Emmanuel, talking about the ecosystem, how his boss is paying salary and all this. If we talk about just only single importation or gray import, there is no job creating there. There's no industrialization there. I think what we are doing is a success, and we should continue.
Amazing. I'll pretty shortly bring in Eugene, Kwesi, and Prof, but I still want to stick with Salem and Mr. Opompey, because clearly you have the issues and you are in the space and you get to understand it very well. I'm looking at the objectives of the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, about 6 of them, more, but in a nutshell, 6 key objectives I saw in there. And I would want to just indulge you briefly, right, to give me a very simple yes or no answer if that objective some 7 years down the line has been achieved. So I'll ask you as well. So the first was to establish a fully integrated and competitive industrial hub for the automotive manufacturing in collaboration with the private sector. Yes or no?
No.
No. No as well.
No, in progress.
In progress. Okay, so he says no, he says in progress. Yeah. Interesting. Generate a highly skilled jobs in the automotive assembly and to manufacture components and parts with a spillover into other sectors of the economy.
In progress?
In progress?
No.
No. So
on the component side,
have you seen the reverse? So the first time a big no and in progress. And on the second point, we have in progress and no.
No. Yeah.
The third was an asset-based vehicle financing scheme for locally manufactured vehicles.
No.
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 It looks like
Or in
Eugene
progress.
has an opinion too.
Or in progress.
So no and in progress. Wow. I'm waiting for the one where you both unanimously agree. Are you following? Yeah. Great. The fourth was to improve the balance of payments and support through competitive import substitution and export market development. Mr. Pomprepra? No.
Yes.
Please say it louder. So
No.
No. Lovely.
Okay, no.
Okay. So I think the fourth is where we both agree, right?
Okay.
On the same page. And to improve vehicle safety and environmental standards.
We are not there.
We are not there.
In progress. We have a Ghana Standard Board working on this, but not there. Not there. I agree with him.
Not there. Not there.
Yeah.
Not there. So I'll take not there to be a no. And finally, to transform the quality of our national road transport fleet and to safeguard the natural environment.
I will probably say some 2 words on that. I would say no, but we can do more if we are more disciplined and strict on our things. Yeah.
In progress.
In progress. So out of the 6 key objectives, there's not even one. You know, this is unbelievable. There's not even one you can say maybe we're at a 70% completion or nearing completion. Wow. It brings me then to Mr. Government. I mean, I look at this and 7 years down the line, there's not even a single one we could, with our full chest, say that we've made some progress. Why is this the case?
Thank you very much. We are happy to be part of this panel. But I think that you're looking at a policy that was developed and approved in 2019, and we are kind of 7 years implementation. Actually, we had a first assembly plant being established by VW in 2020 in the heat of the COVID. So I would say that we've barely done 6 years. And if you are supposed to compare what we have done, although most of the 6 objectives that you outlined have not been fully achieved, I think that it is work in progress. Having such a nascent automotive industry and a policy, I think that if you want to compare ourselves with leading automotive manufacturing countries, I think that where we are at age 7, I think that we've done more than what they did during those periods. So it might be no, it might be work in progress, but I think that we are on the right path.
But if you consider that in the 1960s,
yes,
we started this, you get a sense that as a country and as a people, we may have retrogressed quite significantly. And maybe then 2019 will not be the right yardstick.
I think that the 1960s had its own challenges. And I think that one of the things that wasn't in place then was the policy to serve as a framework to guide the development of the industry. And what we have managed to do, government has managed to do from 2019, is to have a policy framework looking at the key issues that will serve as a framework to guide the development of the industry. So having these objectives not fully achieved, and I think that we are achieving some of them. We are in discussion with the assemblies, we are in discussion with development partners seeking to bring in investment into other sectors of the economy. I think that the main objective for government coming up with the auto program is to look at, I think, 6 critical issues. It's about industrialization, it's about job creation, it's about value addition. We're looking at advanced skills training, although Mr. Kamoni, the assemblies disagreed on it. I think that if you look at the skills that have been recruited into the automotive industry, had it not been the automotive industry, we wouldn't have had these graduates, some of them coming in fresh from the university, being within the automotive industry. And that is the start of the industry. We want industry to help bridge the gap between academia and industry. And if we have such a program that we are implementing currently in the state, I think that we will not be happy to say that all the objectives have not been achieved, but I think that we are on the right track.
Wow. Kwesi, you are the head of strategic manufacturing.
Yes, sir.
That's a big post.
Yes, sir.
You know, what we say is the current health status of our assembly manufacturing industry?
Okay, so let me kind of give a bit of a perspective to the automotive manufacturing industry. The policy is supposed to create an enabling environment to attract investment into vehicle assembly, looking at three sections of the vehicle assembly industry: basic assembly, enhanced, and then complete knockdown. Now, I'll say that in terms of the incentives that have been provided, with the exception of about three that have not been fully implemented in terms of our tax waivers and other incentive rebate mechanisms to support the industry, all have been implemented. The three, I would say, that haven't been implemented, we are still in discussion with, is a higher policy issue that we are developing. But the local automotive industry's health, I think that is not in a state that in terms of the policy development, we are expecting it. We need to support the industry to kind of achieve the objective for which we are looking at establishing the industry. The industry currently is employing around 1,005, both direct and indirect. If you look at direct, we are doing around 900, with the rest being indirect. But we are looking at beyond that.
So there's potential?
There's potential. We are looking at beyond that. We are looking at how we can, among others, within the objective, attract component manufacturing within the space. Unfortunately, we have one component manufacturer here with us, Spring and Bolt. We're looking at how we can start the industry, because when you want to talk about component manufacturing, there are three tiers: tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. If we are able to enhance the capacity of our local companies, then they will be able to feed into the vehicle assembly industry that we are looking at. So I would say that in terms of health-wise, I'm not a doctor. I think that it's not as expected, but we hope to support the industry achieve its full objectives.
Wow, three things I get from you. So it's not all gloom, right? There are some success stories, and you also talk about the fact that there's potential, right? I love that. And you also talk about tax. It's important. Ghanaian businesses, it's their lifeline, really. So it's great that you mentioned that. But I'll come back to you on the political and policy bottlenecks, right? Because you get the sense that in 79, we all knew what happened in the country, right? Then everything we're doing came to a halt. One government introduces a policy. Is that a political will? You know, Mr. Opompepra mentioned it. So I'll come back to you on policy continuation and whether or not we can deal with the political bottleneck issues. But let me bring Eugene in now. Eugene, he's with Ghana Jet team. Even before I come to my main substantive question for you, for those who don't know, right, and the uninitiated, what do you do at Ghana Jet? If you can shed some light on it for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So the JET program, sometimes people think it's in the aeronautics, but it's not aeronautics, right? It basically stands for Jobs and Economic Transformation. It's a UK-backed program that was created with the government of Ghana to drive economic transformation, industrialization, manufacturing, job creation, investment. So back in 2018, 2019, this idea was conceived between the government of Ghana with backing from the UK to embark on this journey. And so we did a mapping of the priority sectors, productive sectors of the government of Ghana. At the time, there were about 10 of these, which cuts across starch, pharmaceutical, textile and garments, agro-processing, palm, oil, etc. And we did a mapping of the potential impact of those sectors versus the right to win. When I talk about potential impact, I talk about the resilience of that sector, even in the period of crisis. Potential impact also refers to the job creation, the ability to drive profit and investment into the space, and also environmental impact. So we looked at those metrics on the potential impact scale, and then just oppose it with the right to win, which talks about what does Ghana have, how are we strategically positioned to take advantage. And we've talked about competition, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just Ghana interested in things, but in terms of the region, in terms of the broader sub-Saharan region, how is Ghana best, placed to win this sort of race to industrialization versus others? Are we better placed? So we looked at those metrics and realized that automotive was one of the sectors that, when supported and given the right sort of support from government, will actually be a major growth pole for the Ghanaian economy. So that's how come we find ourselves working closely with the government of Ghana and also with industry actors, from formal to informal, semi-formal, as you may have it, to support the automotive sector vision that we saw and the potential that we saw to be realized. So essentially that's what we do. We are influencing, supporting government, and it's across three key pillars. Our focus are across three key pillars. On policy, we understand that policy is crucial to unlocking investments, private capital, be it foreign or local. We also looked at driving investments and also supporting the ecosystem to be strengthened as a way of building in sustainability into the manufacturing ecosystem. And
so it's jobs and economic transformation.
Correct.
And you say it's policy, driving investment, and supporting the local ecosystem.
Correct.
Wow. Sonajet team, you see our auto industrial as an anchor sector for industrial development. Wow.
We see that the automotive industry will be, or is, a major growth pole to industrialization in Ghana.
When I was asking Salem, right, and Mr. Pompeper Jeffrey around whether or not we've achieved some of the objectives you outlined in the Ghana automotive development policy, with every single question I saw you nod and shake your head, right? So then my question to you is, what will we have to do now, considering our current state, so we can get to a Coventry level, right? We know Coventry because I know you're coming from the UK kind of background, right? We know Coventry is where the UK has its auto hub, right? All of the Jaguars produced there, the Range Rovers produced there. What do we have to do, having looked carefully at the space?
Yes, it's interesting. I'm an eternal optimist, so I keep nodding at everything. And I think that there has been some success. I agree with colleagues on the panel. There has been some very interesting successes. And also to commend the government of Ghana, who moved at pace. I think this is one of the fastest policies from incubation to formulation to approval and implementation. And also to the private sector, who moved with lightning speed to, as it were, take advantage of the opportunity to leverage Ghana as a hub for automotive manufacturing in the sub-region. And of course, back in the days, on every PC you see Intel inside. Yeah. Back in the days, it used to be UK inside for every vehicle. There was a single component. There was a component in every vehicle which could be traced to UK production. And you are right to say it's Coventry, Midlands, thereabout. I think that it's a journey. Okay, so when we're talking about 7 years down the line, it's a journey. Let's compare to the likes of South Africa, which took about 40 plus years to get to where they are now. Let's look at Morocco, which had a 20-year strategy to get to where they are now. Okay, so I think it's a journey. We will not get there overnight, and I don't think there is leapfrogging here. But we can learn, reduce the learning curve, and get there faster, quicker. And I think we've actually achieved that with someone would even say that there are more OEMs in Ghana than even in the likes of South Africa, etc., right? But now is the time to now move towards scale and volume in terms of productive capacity.
But I know the way we say it in our local parlance, right? Agrobeswa, if we are not par. To it, if it's going to be a successful endeavor, you will see it at the very early stages of it. So, 9 years?
The very early stages for you to attract a global giant like VW. You see, sometimes we need to look at the counterfactual. Will a global giant like VW go back to Nigeria? Would they go back to other markets within? And the answer would...
The VW man is sitting next to you, so you can ask him.
He will respond. But Ghana has been an attractive hub. And as I speak to you today, I engage with lots of investors. I recall in the early stages of the program, we engaged with over 400 investors.
Wow.
Not only in automotive, but across the other priority sectors that we're supporting government of Ghana on. And Ghana has received that acclaim as a hub, potentially, for automotive money. As we speak today, some of these investors in automotive keep knocking on the door, some are coming in, and it's because of the groundwork that the automotive policy has laid. So success, for me, we've got the 1 foot in. The other foot, which is the growth and the scale, is what we need to pull along to achieve.
You sound very optimistic. Almost like you've seen something we don't know. Maybe I should ask you how all the Black Stars will do at the World Cup as well.
Well, I don't want to dabble into that.
Wow, let me bring in Prof, right? Prof Ebo Texan. He's an industrial policy guru, and I also see that you do applied microeconometrics, so he likes the complicated things. Prof, having listened to the panel, right, I get a sense that it's one of mixed reactions, right? So in one breath, not too good, but there's also some level of optimism. My question to you, to start with, is it right to say, for example, that the automotive industry as it stands is what we need for our industrial revolution of a sort, or drive, basically?
Okay, thank you. Let me start by saying that today, I'll say that a strong foundation has been laid for that industry. The depth is shallow, no doubt about it. I mean, to have 6 OEMs in your country, like a country like Ghana, is not any achievement that you can throw away. I listened to them as they gave their yeses and no. They are private businessmen. At times, they want the policy to kick in quickly for them to realize their opportunities. But the sort of structural transformation that we need in a country like Ghana will take a while, given where we've come from. And the fact that when the policy started, COVID hit and dislocated the whole economy. And we know the story of where Ghana has come from, recent crisis and all of that. And the fact that the exchange rate itself was also not too stable to encourage the importation of even their parts to come and assemble. So a lot of things have happened when it started. So whilst it's 7 years, I think that the stability that is there now since 2024 relatively should support their expansion. They have a huge capacity that we import almost 120,000 vehicles every year. And they have an installed capacity of 6 companies of 120,000, almost 140,000. So it means that if we decide to stop importing at their full capacity, they should be able to meet our demand. But the issues about building industrialization and transforming your economy doesn't only come with a policy. It comes with infrastructure. It comes also from the consumer point of view. The need for us as Ghanaians to also believe in products that are made in our country. Because if the demand is not there, no matter the incentives that you give to Japan Motors, for instance, or Mr. Pompe's company, if there's no demand, what is the point? No matter how good the policy is, the foundation will be strong, but the depth will be very shallow. And as we speak, they only produce even a very small amount of what we need as imported new cars in Ghana. I mean, Ghana normally imports almost about 6,000 new cars every year. And they are not producing more than 2/3 of that now.
Wow, so 6,000 new cars as against what, over 90,000 used vehicles?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And as for the used vehicles, we'll come to that story because you see, you have to look at the dynamics of the purchasing power of the average Ghanaian. I mean, most Ghanaians cannot afford new cars that are imported. And over the years, we've treated importation of new cars as a luxury So if you look, the whole duty on cars rather reduces the duty when the cars get older, right? Because you used to think that those who import new cars have money, so let's tax them more. And so people have gotten used to the fact that used vehicles come in cheaper, and they always have a preference for used vehicles. So there's a whole system in place that we need to overcome to get us to the point where we are looking at building a competitive hub for the automotive industry from both the supply and the demand point of view. Infrastructure is key in all of this, right? The cost of electricity, the business environment should be very conducive. Look, if your environment is conducive, the cost of business is doing low, you don't need to give these private businessmen tax incentives because they'll make more profits in a low cost environment than the tax incentives that you give them. Most of them don't even need incentives.
So you feel like the 35% on CIF, for example, is not necessary if we
No,
have
that's what I'm saying, because
friendly-
that is also necessary to give them some protection against the imported used cars. So that is fine. But I'm saying that beyond that, the tax holidays and other things are even giving them less than if the business environment was very conducive for production. And we've at times thrown at these businessmen incentives because we have been unable to reduce the cost of doing business in the country. And whilst the incentives are there, they even don't find it very useful. I mean, you don't give me a tax holiday and my electricity bill is way up there. What is the point?
They call it Usain Bolt. Yeah.
So the point is that we need time to see that strategic objective of the Ghana Automotive Development Program getting to this point where when you ask them, they'll say yes to all of them. So I think it's too early. Much of it is work in progress, and I agree entirely with the gentleman from the Ministry of Trade. It's much work in progress. And I'll say that we should be excited that at the initial stage, you have 6 companies doing that. The employment impact is low, definitely. In fact, an industry like that, the employment impact has to do with allied industries, not even the industry itself. Because much of it will be automated as well. And then those on assembly ground are not many. But the allied industries that we are able to generate out of that industry in terms of the parts manufacturing and other things that come up. You know, we have a good metal foundry industry in Ghana. We go to Swami Magazine, all of that. But these are very informal with low skill, low tech. But in terms of the skill, we have people who are trained who could do that. And I'm excited that these companies are partnering the universities, for instance, and taking university students into some of Toyota's one just next
Eugene.
the University of Ghana and other places. And that is also very encouraging because then you are bridging the gap between academia and private sector industry. And that is something that we also need to encourage.
Interesting.
And so there are a lot of things that are happening in the first 7 years that I think that shows that Ghana is on the right track. I mean, what happened in the past, like you said, from the 1960s to the 70s was because the public sector was involved in some of the allied industries and they were inefficient. And were becoming more of a cost to Ghana than not. And that's why the IMF, World Bank has us to close those companies and then privatize them. It's taking us many years to come back to this.
But clearly the industry is one that can propel our economic fortunes if we deal with it properly.
Precisely, I mean.
No, solid. Prof, thank you for this really strong opening remarks. I've learned so much and I want to believe you are also. The show or this panel discussion is interactive. We would love to hear from you. You can send in your message, your comments, your experiences, if any, and we'll be glad to read all of it across. You have a live in-studio guest also helping us with this particular show. So, Prof, if I listen to you carefully, a strong foundation would have to be laid before takeoff. You talk about the fact that it's important to put in place the necessary infrastructure, right? Electricity, all of it. You said it's slow, but it has to be steady as well. And you also said that, you know, those in the space, they are profit-oriented. They like money too much. Those are my words. Those are my words. But essentially, it will take time for the profits to be realized, right? So we need to be slow but steady. Right, interesting. More like you agree also with Kwesi on some of the issues you raised about the progress, incremental progress being made. Wow, what a way to start this panel. We're still looking at the Ghana automotive industry with a particular focus on the assembling industry and whether we've done enough to maximize the gains. 7, 6, 8 years after launching the policy, what's been the success story? What's been the challenges? What are we doing to improve it? That's what we are doing on today's edition of the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion. Prof, when I come back, I'll deal with you on the spillover effects, right? And how other industry can take advantage of what we have. And maybe Jeffrey and Salem will also deal with the cost implications on all of this. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, there's more. Don't go away. Welcome back. You're still watching the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion. It's the final edition for the year 2026. The last time we brought you conversations around building resilient cities. This time around, we are focusing on the automotive industry and ensuring that we also have, to an extent, a very resilient automotive industry, starting with making sure that we build these cars right here in the country. And I have a really an amazing panel helping us through this discussion. Prof, I ended off with you, but this time round, I'll start off with you. I'm interested in learning about how we can begin to realize the spillover effect. Off record, you explained to me that it takes time for some of these things to be realized, and the fact that the employment opportunities are not in the numbers as you would usually, expect, maybe from the perspective of a layperson, right? So, how do other sectors of the economy, for instance, begin to take advantage of all of these things within the automotive industry?
So, there are two allied industries that benefit from a well-functioning automotive industry. For instance, those into transport logistics, they benefit. We have the dealerships, after-sales service, those who do body works. And then when you go to the financial system, the insurance companies, and the banks themselves, because they generate jobs out of that.
All the financing schemes.
Precisely. And I mentioned earlier on that the demand is critical to all of this. If there's no demand, then what's the point? And I think that the discussion should move to the financial sector as well, to see how best. I know for certain that the central bank is very open to all sort of industrialization prospect that will reduce our reliance on imports, so that we don't always put pressure on the cedi, because the exchange rate depreciation also has issues to do with the stability of the economy. So when we don't have that, then so the central bank is open to initiatives of that sort, and therefore the discussion for the ministry now should be looking at bringing in the financial sector into the picture. How do you offer financing to workers to get cars from these plants that are being assembled here in Ghana? And I'm very certain that if the financing is right, you will have Ghanaians opt for these cars. Don't forget also that we also need to make it quite clear that when it comes to international standards, these OEMs in Ghana are producing to international standards, because there's always that idea that, are you sure that these cars are good cars being manufactured in Ghana?
It's a stereotypical problem.
Yes, it's a typical Ghanaian problem. I mean, when it comes to consumption, Ghanaians are not nationalistic, and that is something that we need to work on. And that is part of a problem where our private sector industrialization is not working in Ghana. Ghanaians are not that patriotic when it comes to consumption.
We've developed such excessive
in some countries,
for foreign, right?
In some countries where there's a clear policy focus on a sector, the indigenous of the country or residents of the country make it a point to support that policy with their demand. In Ghana, we don't do that. And so it is important that as we do this discussion about the allied industries, when the demand is there, finance is going to be key, insurance, there will be jobs there, and then even in terms of the after sales and other things that come up. I'm sure Japan Motors will not go into body works, for instance. I mean, when they sell their cars, they've done assembly, they've sold their cars. But the more cars that we have in this system, then it also comes up with the bodywork stuff and people manufacturing seats and all of that in the economy would help the industry. But what we need to also do is to provide an incentive structure, not only for those who are assembling the cars, but for these allied industries to get investment to kick into those areas. And he mentioned some of them. And the reason why this is important is that we are seeking to reduce our reliance on imports. That is the whole thing about this industrialization program. And the whole concept behind this Ghana Automotive Development Policy is to reduce our reliance on imports. I mean, we import close to, in fact, in 2025, we imported close to $3 billion of used cars and new cars into this country. Supposing half of it is produced here, that is $1.5 billion industry for these 6 companies. But the point is that they have the capacity. They are producing at very low capacity. Why is that the case? Because you see, when they produce at even optimal capacity, it will generate a lot of output of cars in Ghana, and then the allied industries will benefit from it. If I'm a car dealer, then I get a dealership with Japan Motors, and I'm selling their cars. I have workers in my company who are also I'm going to employ. It's going to generate the employment, and it moves from the second tier to the third tier, and then on and on.
As part of the policy, you explained the upstream, you explained the midstream, you explained the downstream. Upstream being the production of the vehicles, midstream being the assembly, which we've seen here, and of course the downstream being the sale of it and all of that. And the policy was quite clear on the need for government institutions and agencies, for that matter, to be heavy on the buying and purchasing of these local cars. I don't think we've seen that happen a lot, right? And you also talk about our desire for foreign and all of that. So will you say maybe it's about time we go back to the document and say, you know what, the low-hanging aspects of it, we need to enforce it?
Yeah, we need to enforce procurement of cars, for instance. I mean, as you speak, government should enforce that no state agency should import any car if they don't buy the cars from the local. The point is that at times we complain about the costs that they are, but the economies of scale will allow them to reduce their cost. So at times the demand, when it kicks in, would allow them to reduce their costs, and then they become competitive.
So economies of scale, basically.
I mean, they have to produce more cars.
So the more you produce, the cheaper the cars
precisely,
are
because
likely to be.
administrative staff are not in direct production, but you are paying them. So when you produce more output, the cost per unit drops.
Reduces.
And then you become competitive. So the government policy of making sure that cars that are manufactured in Ghana become the main suppliers for public cars that are procured is something that is a low-hanging fruit. I mean, it's just a policy. I mean, the Minister of Finance will not pay if the car is not purchased from those who are assembling in Ghana. And when you begin to do that, you begin to create a demand for them. Also, we need to provide incentives for consumers to go and buy the made-in-Ghana cars from them. And it's not only through the finance, but give them incentives as well. That for anybody who buys a car in Ghana, for instance, the government is going to pay 5% discount for you. I mean, or zero VAT. So I don't pay any VAT. I mean, I remember about a few months ago, I wanted to buy a Kia car, and I was told that the VAT has been brought back. So, I mean, I don't know if that is true. And so he changed the price, and I withdrew because it was a huge difference. I mean, and so these are the sort of policies that are low-hanging for government.
You buy a used car when you...
No, I didn't buy a used car. I bought a Chinese car. I didn't buy a used car, but that's fine. I mean, that's just by the way. I mean, I'm a lecturer. I don't have too much money like...
How can you tell us the story?
So the VAT was making a difference because by the time I got ready to purchase the car, the price had jumped. And I was told that because the VAT has been brought back. So I had to look for an alternative. I would have bought a car that was being assembled in Ghana, the Kia Clarence. They assembled that in Ghana. That was what I was going to buy. But I had to quickly move to an imported car.
Why is it so?
That's the point.
Why did you roll back this whole VAT decision? You want water, we can get you water.
You can answer that question. That is more of a finance question, right?
I think that
But the Ministry of Trade, we work very closely with the finance.
We work very close with Ministry of Finance. I think Ministry of Finance was also doing an assessment of the industry. And at a point in time, the ministry felt that the VAT, which is supposed to be enjoyed by consumers, was not trickling down to industry. So they decided to put that on hold. And the industry people have engaged the Ministry of Finance, showing them some documentations to the effect that the VAT was really being applied to the consumer. Like he said, it was an incentive to consumers. So government didn't want industry people to hold on to that benefit. It was 20%. So government will be reviewing that, and we are very hopeful that
Jeffrey,
it will be restored.
Why were you people holding on the rebates?
Oh, okay.
Not the rebate, the VAT.
The VAT.
I mean, I would say normally I don't have to give a direct answer, but I would say this is a completely no. We never hold any VAT. This was a VAT that was given to the end users because it put us in a very competitive, I'll give you an example. Back in 2025, just last year, or 2024, we were able to sell a brand new vehicle at a price of imported used car, which is 7 years. So it's a low brain.
Wait, relax. Say that again.
A brand new vehicle, locally assembled, sold at a price of imported used car, which is 7 years old.
Wow.
So this is the mathematics here. That incentive that we were giving to end users, they were really enjoying it. And then, as Prof said, people saw that, why do I waste my time to go and buy a used vehicle which has been probably damaged by refurbished and brought to me? There is no history about it and all this. Why do I waste time on that? But go and get a brand new vehicle. There's a warranty to 3 to 5 years on it. You have after-sales support and everything. So even looking at the mathematics or the cost out of that, it was still competitive because you get a fresh car. You got everything. And so for us as the players, this was something that we were even more happy to give to an end user. I heard about that there's a government feels that we are holding on this, but it's never true. And I can challenge, and that's why we have also been open to government that they can look into our books. It is never, it was a blank statement, and I can challenge that.
Are you minded to send back this feed? Are you minded to send this feedback back to government for a relook or a reconsideration?
So like I said, industry has engaged with Ministry of Finance, and they've opened up their books. So there are some considerations we believe the Ministry of Finance is making, and there will be an announcement to that effect, because I think coming from the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness Industry, it was a good one, because we were not able to administer all the incentives that we were expected to. So that VAT came in as an easy one that will not really have an impact.
Interesting.
I mean,
Jeffrey, are you content?
Yeah, I'm very good.
So you scored your first goal right now?
No, yes, because I mean, we have a GRA who are on our neck every day. Some of our members are even called to be audited and checked this. And their books are clear that everybody who buys the car, you shouldn't, this is even a layman's thing. He comes to you because he knows he's enjoying zero VAT. So how much more you come and say, no, I don't give you the zero VAT, but I'm cooking it somewhere. It's a blank statement, and we will charge.
I think the reason why the Ministry of Finance took that move was that when it was announced, some of those, I mean, I'm not talking about your two companies, I don't know which companies, but that's the information. Industry had incorporated the zero VAT into their price again. And so, so if I was selling something for 200, I was going to charge a VAT of 50. I was going to sell it at 250. Once the government brought the VAT down to 0, they moved their price to 250. So the ministry's point, if this is what was happening, then the VAT that was going to go to the consumer has been taken away by the process. So let's put it back so that they will go and compete.
But it wasn't Volkswagen and Japan Motors.
Yes, because I made a check. Because you see, when I asked for the cost of that vehicle, and they told me the price in cities, I was shocked that they saw cars at that low. I was like, really? You mean when I pay this, I get a new car? I said, yes, come and pay. And so, as I was organizing myself, I went back to go and pay. They said, no, the VAT has been taken off.
This is a testimony. This is a testimony.
Sure.
This is a testimony.
Let's do much better.
We don't hold any VAT in our pocket.
But I went back to check via the policy. But I was told that some of the companies were taking over the VAT that was supposed to come to me into their prices. So what was the point?
So there are also industry loopholes being taken advantage of.
That's why we have given government the liberty that they should call us. We can look the books at. And then I told my members that if we find that someone, we will sanction that company.
So if any of these six assemblers are into that,
we are even prepared to withdraw your license to do that. Because
but is it the first time you are hearing of some of your members, undercutting the system?
I heard that, but I just always say there's a blunt statement because we are very structured people, and you shouldn't forget that we are dealing with OEMs, and we don't encourage such things. We are very compliant, and everything that we do is in a compliant way.
Salim?
Yes, I actually find it hard that any company of us will try to not pass the VAT and take it. And for several reasons. One is there are 10 bona fide assemblers in Ghana, 10, with 7 assembly plants. We're competitors, okay? It's not like there's a monopoly. There's no monopoly. The ministry has given quite a number, and we think too much, okay? We're telling them, please, hold on assemblies. The country cannot take more. So we are as many as 10 bona fide assemblers. We're all competing with each other. So there's no monopoly. That's one. Yeah. Number 2 is who is actually fighting, not so happy, who in the industry or within the economy, who's not happy with maybe the assemblers and are resisting? They're the used car dealers, and they're the great importers. Why do you think they're not happy? Because our prices have come down and we're competing with them. Okay? So if, so our prices
like
have
Jeffrey
come
said,
down. So
buying a brand new car for 7 years,
the proof is, okay, had we let's say, taken on the VAT and increased our profit, we will not have hurt them. Things will be normal. The prices will be equivalent. But we have actually, our prices did drop, okay, significantly. And it has been passed on to the consumer. This is why they're not happy, especially the parallel importers, new cars. We're not so much worried about the used cars, by the way, and the older used cars. It's almost a different segment. It's the price is too significantly lower than our price. But for those going to Dubai, importing new cars and selling it for 1 or 2 years, okay, they've been hurt. And I'm saying if we were doing what this charge was, they would not be hurt. They wouldn't mind. But the fact that they are complaining means we are passing on the VAT.
Amazing.
Let me add to this point, right? And one of the partners that we've been working with is a Ghanaian company in the automotive space, set out to buy some vehicles because they were expanding. We supported them to create some jobs and reach out to the West African market. So they were expanding and wanted to buy some more pickups for their operations. So they went out to scout and to get proformers to some grain importers and to the official distributors through the assembly facility. And they came back to tell us this, that they saw a price differential of 30%.
Whoa.
The grain importers were as high as 30% than the local
So completely
importers.
ripping off everybody.
No, the grain importers were higher, and then the assemblers were cheaper, with a differential of 30%. So for them, it was a no-brainer Let's go for the locally
So
assembled
the grain
vehicle.
importers, I meant, were the ones ripping off
So
people.
no, it's not ripping off per se, but it's the supply chain.
Okay.
All right. So
Okay.
your supply chain determines your pricing. So putting out this fact out there that the local assemblers are very price competitive, like for like. Okay, so I agree with what Salem said. It's not a competition with the used, which is a different segment. And the used cars are very important in every market. And you see in every advanced market, there's a strong used car operation. However, it's in a different supply. It's not coming in from imports as well.
I'll still stay with you, Eugene. And I think it's fair to say that we've scored our first goal. You said we were going to score goals today. Government says they are going to reconsider this VAT, and hopefully we can make progress on it. I hope I've not misquoted you, Kwesi. No, great. Eugene, having worked in the space, right, there are concerns that, and of course, listening to Salem, he mentioned the fact that there's no monopoly, we are competing with each other. The question then is, for industry, is it not time for them to now work together, right? We know of economies of scale. When they bring in goods together, it will lead to cheaper, parts and all of that. So instead of maybe the competition we see, is it not time for them to work together?
I think it's time for them to work together, and they have been working together. And one of the ways they've been working together is through the Assembly Association, the Automotive Assembly Association of Ghana. And they're also working together with the broader Continental Automotive Association, which is the African Association of Automotive Manufacturers, which works closely with the African Continental Free Trade Area, because we want to industrialize not just Ghana, but Africa. And Ghana is part of the broader continental automotive strategy. So the working together, I believe it's there. And in some sense, I'm sure even the Ministry of Trade will tell you about it. There are plans to have common user facilities. For example, where the capex is very intense in painting vehicles, right? The kits will come in, or the body parts, if locally assembled, will come in, or locally manufactured, will come into this common user facility for whatever paint code or color to be applied to the part, and then sent to the respective assembly facility for assembly to happen. So those opportunities are there, and I think that they are working together, and that's why we are seeing, this panel speaking to the issue.
And I've enjoyed every bit of it. You're still watching the Citi Business Roundtable Discussion. My name is Jude Duncan. I work here at Citi FM and ChannelOne TV. I also host the Total Energies Auto Show on Citi FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pretty shortly, we'll open up the conversation, so our friends who are in studio with us, our live audience, can also get their thoughts and questions, if any, across, so our esteemed panel would help us with the useful responses. But let me just briefly come back to government. Kwesi, we see also different aspects of all of this policy we put in place, and the fact that there's enormous potential for other businesses to even take advantage of. So on the show I host on Citi FM, I remember one time interviewing a company called Auto Cleaner, right? And what they were into is developing cleaning products for cars. I even heard they are part of the association, right? How can all of these startups, SMEs, begin to see themselves as part of this move and realize the gains thereof?
Yeah, thank you. So, if you look at the thematic areas for the auto policy, we have what we call a supplier development program that we want to implement. And that is where we are looking at the downstream section of the vehicle assembly industry. And like Prof. Riley said, there are other allied industry players that are supposed to be participating within the ecosystem. So what we are looking at in terms of supporting this downstream sector is coming up with the Ghana Automotive Component Manufacturing policy, which I can say, and I think it will be news to my partners, that is currently at Cabinet for consideration. The policy is also seeking at creating that enabling environment for a company like Auto Cleaner. I've engaged with
Oh, you know them?
Yes, I know. They produce liquid products and others for cleaning vehicles. And we are hoping that the incentive aligned in the policy will create that enabling environment for the industry. What we need to do is also to bring them into the bigger picture of what we are doing, because some of these sector players may not be known to our assemblies. At times it's difficult to bring some of these people into the value chain, but there are some areas that our assemblies can also bring them on board. So we are looking at the fact that, yes, we want to develop an automotive industry. We want to develop a component manufacturing industry. We want to develop the allied sectors that support the automotive industry. And the policy is what we require to bring down, like what they are saying, the cost of production. If you are not competitive in terms of cost, then you cannot participate in the sector that we are looking
But what's
at.
been the level of engagement, right, with all of the stakeholders? And with stakeholders, I'm referring to, you know, all of these guys at Aboso Kind, you know, Kokompe, Xiaomi Magazine. Did you engage them? Did they understand the policy? Do they know what we are seeking to achieve with this?
We've had series of stakeholder engagements from the development of the policy. We just reviewed the policy. This year, we are about forwarding it to cabinet for review, looking at some of the issues. When it comes to the component manufacturing industry, where we believe that actors within the spare parts industry will be very critical, we've also engaged them. So we've engaged the Aboso Kind people, we've engaged the Kokompe, both in Accra, Takoradi. We've also engaged some magazine people, because we have an artisanal industry which will be very, very important to our automotive industry. I can tell you that when the policy developers, I mean those who help us in the development of policies, when we brought them to Ghana and we took them to Swami Magazine, they were very amazed to see the potential that we have at Swami Magazine. They were South Africans, and they said that even in South Africa they don't have such a sea of local artisans that will support the automotive industry. We've engaged all these players. We want to support them. For some magazine, we're looking at establishing kind of an advanced laboratory and a foundry for some magazine, so they can help them with the alloying of their metals, the metal analysis, and also post-component manufacturing. Because if you want to bring some magazine on board, that is where you realize that the automotive industry permeates into other sectors of the economy that you wouldn't understand. But if you are able to support them with this, then the other food processing sectors that we are looking at will be beneficiary to whatever that
So
we
the
are
normal
looking at.
spillover effects, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So we've done quite a lot of stakeholder engagement with support from our development partners, including Ghana Jets, and then GIZ and others. So if you are to speak to them, they can tell you that they've been on board this policy development. But I think the issue is how they are able to free up so that the policy can...
Let me bring Eugene in now, right? And very briefly, before we go on a break, we talk about the fact that, assuming even now, government decides to remove this VAT we're talking about, and there's a groundswell of support for all of these vehicles we assemble here. Do you get a sense you have the requisite skill sets, right, to take advantage of the opportunities within the space? And if not, what should we be doing now, even as we anticipate, you know, the progress of the sector?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually going to ask you to allow me to chime in too, because Kwesi made a very valuable point. And maybe before I come to your question, just to spare a few seconds to talk about it. We see the importance of stakeholder engagement and roping in the informal sector into this journey. And like I said, we are not looking at now, but we are looking at the future, what the future holds. So one of the things we have done as a program is engaging with the informal sector, and even some of the semi-formal, including the formal sector, to support them with capacity building and opportunity. And I'm very excited to share that in Q3 of this year, we should be having the first production of fasteners in Ghana by a Ghanaian firm.
Wow.
Right here in Ghana, with the support of the JET program and the support of the UK investments, right? BII, that's the British International Investment, made some investment into this company, Springs and Bolts. And we know bolts and nuts, everybody uses bolts and nuts. And it's not just automotive, it cuts across so many sectors. But we import all of these things. And sometimes when you go to the informal sector, you see them lying all around the place and they take a fix on your, we don't know the integrity of that particular material, and it breaks up, you know, when you're around 80 kilometers per hour.
So this is with the right certification and everything, standards.
They are going to produce it and supply mining, oil and gas, automotive, etc. So the potential is huge in bringing in the informal sector and engaging more broadly. To your substantive question, I think it's crucial, right, that we enable the informal or the local private sector, because, and there's not a shortage of skills, right, but it's rather opportunity. In March, we assembled a group of informal sector from Swami Magazine, etc. And with the help of the UK's Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, which is a £90 billion organization in umbrella industry for the UK automotive, we took some firms from Swami Magazine, exposed them to UK manufacturing practices, and then the 5 S's and the ISOs, ISO 9000 or ISO 16949, and all of those are critical ingredients to have before you can even speak to a VW. Because the moment you want to have that conversation, they ask you which ISO do you have, which certification or standards do you have, because they will not put a material that they cannot vouch for its integrity or performance under certain conditions in their vehicles, because we know safety is paramount. And to Prof's point, the industry here in Ghana is the same as anywhere. They are assembling to the same level of quality, standard, everything. So the car you buy in US is the same.
It's interesting you talk about our standards here, right? And we'll take a break, but when we come back, maybe Prof will help us understand why we have homologation for brand new vehicles, but we don't have for used vehicles, and whether it's a policy, is a sound policy decision. He's already laughed. I can only imagine his answer. All right, so you're still watching our Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion, looking at the automotive industry, the assembly of vehicles to be specific, and we have an amazing panel helping us through all of the discussion. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and just wrap up the show. Don't go away. Welcome back. It's still the Citi Business Festival Roundtable Discussion, looking at our automotive industry. So much potential. As to whether it's been realized, my guest will say it's in the process, right, or in progress. We left off the show looking at some of the things we can do to bring other sectors on board. Now, I want to just look at, we are the last leg of the program, really, and would look at issues around certification, right? Concerns are being raised. When you want to bring in a new vehicle, there's a whole process you have to go through. It's usually called the homologation. It's a big word, but it basically means certification. We do that for brand new vehicles, but there's none whatsoever for used vehicles, which some of them are accidents, some of them flooded, and you're wondering why we are concerned so much about the new vehicles and not the used one. And I want to find out from Prof whether it's a policy sound decision, right, and what we should do to fix the gaps, if any, in this whole homologation process.
I mean, it's a feature of where we've come from. We have been used to used cars importation, and the idea that if it's coming from abroad, then it must be good. So we don't have any policy really to check on those standards. We only use their year of usage.
And mileage.
Mileage. No, we don't even use mileage. They just
mileage.
Yeah. They tamper. So we say If it's beneath 10 years, that's fine. After 10 years, pay a fine. I mean, or pay a penalty and bring in the car without having to check if it conforms with the standards that we want in this country. But then we subject these car assemblers to that scrutiny. So it's a feature of our own mentality over the years that we cannot do anything good here. So we need to put in place standards. But I think we've moved on. And I think that the policy now, GSA should be at the forefront of this to ensure that even used vehicles that are coming in conform to certain standards. One way which we can give support to a local assemblers is to even increase the standards for used vehicles so that we buy used vehicles at a particular level.
So what, 10 years? But in the policy, we are being told that after 10 years, you have like a higher CIF to even pay.
That's what I'm saying, that it's a wrong policy. It shouldn't come in at all. I mean, some of these cars are so bad that they are the ones that cause the accidents. They fall in a pothole and then everything.
So they change the steering from left to right, and it is just complete mayhem.
In most African countries, you cannot do that. You cannot take a car to Kenya. It's a right hand, they are going to change. No, they are not going to allow you to do that.
Jeffrey, you support the 10-year ban on used vehicles?
No, I don't support it because it's not something that it creates this industrialization agenda. We all know purchasing, it's, I would say, finance is an issue, but I think what government and then also the industry players we should do to create some enabling situation where the appetite of used cars will go down. Because this topic of inconformity used vehicles coming into the market, I'm saying our neighboring countries, even in Ivory Coast, you can't do that. In South Africa, completely banned. You can't bring a used car in. But there are some certain mechanisms like maybe affordable financing where people will be having an appetite that I don't have the money to buy a brand new vehicle, but I'm probably getting a very good financing scheme, pay probably a single digit for interest rate when I borrow.
Amazing.
And these are things that we should all. So going back to my discussion on the 20% VAT here and there, you know, all these things that government incentives that to support our industry, they are not for a permanent thing. It is not for us to be there always enjoying. This is just to like holding our hands to walk into the eye. We do understand that. So this will protect us to get us to some level. And whilst we are doing this, we are creating financing, we are creating some other things that will make appetite of a local assembly or appetite of a brand new vehicle is there. And
solid.
We shouldn't forget that used car exists in every country, but they create their own used cars. This is what Ghana we're also looking at, that in 10 years, 15 years, we are going to create our own used cars where there's a strong financing behind the people can buy it. If you cannot afford a brand new vehicle, you can still buy a used car at a certain
Interesting.
rate. So
Jeffrey.
it is a whole transition program. But we need government to hold our hands to get to where we want to be. And all these things will come in.
Because he said government to hold your hand. So
definitely,
be rest assured.
We feel that we are drawing now.
Oh, really?
We feel absolutely. I made a statement before that when we had a presidential dialogue, I said it. And it's true. Because at the moment, all the investments that we have done is really a negative. And some of our members, their OEMs, their directors in abroad are even threatening to move out of this country.
Whoa.
So this is where it's going to. And we must take this serious. That is why we are asking for government engagement to speak with us, to know our problems. And we are struggling even to speak with government to see where we are. It's something, I say, it's not the party thing, it's a national agenda. This is a national agenda. It covers our young people and then also for our future. So it's something big that we should all stakeholders should have an interest. I mean, if you are a grain importer, you still have a chance in this big pie, because you can be my dealer for a used car. Because now, VW, when we have we have a used car there, who do I trade with? These are stakeholders. Everybody has a share in it. You spoke about body wears and all this. These artisans, they have their stake in it. So, please.
But what's government's feedback in all of this?
It entails more and more engagement, and this engagement is somehow missing. And I think if we don't speak and we don't engage, we will all lose part, and then we go back to the 1969s again. Because you shouldn't forget that no investor wants to come and invest because Ghana is the center of the equator or whatever. They come here because they want to do something. The
black stuff of Africa.
No, at all. No investor wants to do these things. Arable lands and all these things. Please, these are selling money. But in reality, if someone wants to invest, he wants to invest that government, it's a win-win thing. The investor will win something. The country also wins something.
So an enabling environment.
Absolutely.
Proper private sector support.
Absolutely.
Wow.
This is what engagement we need.
Thank you. I mean, he's clearly spoken from the heart. And government, I believe, is doing the listening. If they don't, we'll send a message to them.
I think what is also very important to his statement is the fact that I think the used car dealers should stop patronizing government to make the market more competitive for them. They need to come to the point that you don't have to be only a used car dealer for imported used cars. There are cars in this country that you can be a used car dealer. And I think it's the political economy at times that tie the hands of these politicians. Because the advocacy that the used car dealers would pitch with government, that look at people we employ, look at blah, blah, blah. If you are giving these assemblies the market edge, how are we going to import cars? And we need to get to a point where at times we need to be very clear to such interested party that it should be about Ghana. It should not be about our selfish interest.
Wow.
And that is only when the government will begin to listen to assemblies like the two gentlemen in this room. And I think the government has to take the bull by the horn to say, look, we are not going to allow that. Some countries have done it. Absolutely. And they've done well with the automotive industry. So we need to get to that point where these political economy issues will be put on it. But you know, when the stakes are high, the politicians find it difficult.
There are cases that countries have done it, they are successful. How can we, why not Ghana?
Interesting. I mean, listening to the panel carefully, two things pretty clear, right? The fact that we have enormous potential if we take this very seriously, and the fact that it is a national interest agenda. And I think that can't be lost on any of us in all of this conversation. Time is fast spent. I'd have loved to hear from our lovely audience. We wouldn't get the time to do that. So what we'll do is that after this conversation, my panel will hang around and you know, interact with them and get their thoughts on some of these issues. But I'll take closing remarks, right? And Jeffrey, you've said a lot, right? And I'd want government to just, in a nutshell, give us its response, and I'll join it with their closing remarks.
Okay. So I think that government has been engaging with the private sector. But I think that the rate at which the engagement is being expected is what is not being met by government. I would say that we are in this together.
Okay.
We are in this together, looking at all the value chain actors, from the assemblers. You look at the spare parts traders. You may want to look at the used car dealers, both grey and then the proper used car dealers. We also have the financial institutions on board this discussion, looking at where we coming up with an asset-based financing. Like what exists in other economies that you can just walk to a showroom and then say that, okay, I want this car, and then your bankers will just take over the discussion. We have not achieved the objectives of the policy, but I think that we are taking the baby steps to help us.
So incremental progress.
Incremental
Let me
progress.
take some few questions from our panel. Unfortunately, time is fast spent, but we can get space for 2 quick questions directed at any of our panel members. Who wants to take the first bite? Thank you. Your name? Hilda. Okay, there's a microphone around.
Yes,
Please use the microphone.
Mr. Kwesi, if you can just promise the automobile industry, if possible, when? Because the whole industry, we have good stable forex. If this 0% policy that we're enjoying was still there, we could have sold more. Technicians could have serviced more, and then we can recruit more people from the technical universities. As it stands, sometimes there are technicians lacking globally, and sometimes they are adverts looking for Ghanaian technicians because of how far we have come. So can we have a timeline?
So we'll take another question. All right, so I see 2 hands, maybe just the 2 of them, then after all the questions, 3. So remember the question, right? Yeah.
My name is Derek Asamoah from Springs and Bolts. So we are component manufacturers. We are one of the manufacturers in Ghana. We only make leaf springs and then fasteners. So my main question is that, as component manufacturers, at what point do we formally get integrated into the supply chain market for the OEMs? And then at the same time, for vehicles, there are about 2,000 components, and I happen to be the only one in Ghana. How do we bring up other guys to make
Still looks like a Kwesi question. It still looks like a Kwesi question. All right, so our final question for the day.
It looks like today
It's all of Kwesi.
only Kwesi is getting all the questions. Okay, so mine has to do with the key stakeholders within the government the government institutions. It looks for me as though there's a bit of disjoint within the cluster. If you want information regarding how vehicles will be disposed at the end of its lifetime, it's difficult to get information.
No scrapyard.
No scrapyard. There's no discussion about that now. There's conversation about the environment. When you go to the Environmental Protection Agency, the conversation around it is also not clear. When you go to traffic, not clear. When you go to DVLA, really not clear. It makes it very hard to have a centralized data, which is very critical for the industry. And then my question, the main question will be, what kind of support will the Auto Development Center be giving to consumers? Because consumers now are very inclined and want to consume information or data to be able to make decisions on what's the product we buy.
You can pour in a nutshell for us and address it as one.
Thank you. So I can't give timelines. The timelines are beyond me. But I think that soon there will be some announcement on the issue that is currently bedeviling the industry. The Ministry of Finance will commit to that. I would say the government is committed to the implementation of the policy. We don't want to see the policy die, looking at the key targets that we are looking at: industrialization, job creation, import substitution, value addition, and all those ones. Now,
the fastness.
Yes, fastness.
What support are you giving them?
They receive some support, like Eugene Riley mentioned. The JET project is kind of bringing these downstream players on board the auto program. Exposing them to global best practices is one of the things that they need to be very much aware of. And like they rightly said, you can't just approach an OEM and say that I want to supply you with kit or component. You need to meet certain certification requirement. So it's a gradual process. Once we bring the industry players together, the assemblers, they are here, the component manufacturers are here. We also engage with the OEMs who may want to source some component locally, but I think that if they're able to base some of their expectations, then they'll be brought on board. Your issue with end-of-life vehicle, I think that there's been some discussions around end-of-life vehicle currently. Swab Magazine, working with EPA, is looking at end-of-vehicle life. I think that what we don't have overall is a policy on vehicle scrapping, which we are looking at. It's difficult to look at the vehicle scrapping because Ghanaians are very much attached to their vehicles. You see someone driving.
This is my first car.
Exactly.
It has to be there.
Exactly. But we will look at that. We will support the industry when we get the necessary also capacity to deal in that. I hope I answered your question.
You need to amend it's not a law, but that document on the Ghana Automotive program to incorporate the component manufacturers. There should be a whole policy document to support that.
We currently have a draft policy for component manufacturing, where the component manufacturers are part. I think what you made mention of is the auto center, how the auto center can be a source of information for the industry. We are trying to capacitate the auto center to be a go-to institution where every information about the automotive industry can be provided. We are not there yet, but we hope that with support from industry, we'll be able to do that. And the industry will share the relevant information that will be required by consumers.
I think the panel deserves a round of applause. Right? Let's do it a bit louder for them. Amazing. And that's what time will allow us for. What an insightful and really educative platform it's been. I've learned so much, and the whole idea is that we have a country to build, and let's all do our bits in ensuring that there's so much potential, and we can't, for any reason, watch it to go away. And like I said, we have a country to build. Let's all come on board. Everybody has a role to play in this, and I would want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to my panel, starting with Salem Kaumani, CEO of Japan Motors. Thank you so much. Really appreciate the insights. Of course, Kwesi Ofori Entry made a surprise appearance, and he's brought so much, for us, and we'll be holding you to some of the things you mentioned, and we'll be expecting a lot more engagement with industry going forward. Grateful, Head of Strategic Manufacturing at the Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness, of course, Eugene Sangmote, with the Ghana Jet team. Keep up the good work, helping young businesses thrive in a very difficult ecosystem. We are grateful for all the work that you do in that regard. And of course, the president of the AAAG, Jeffrey Opon-Pepra, today he promised to score a goal, and I believe you've scored one.
A hat-trick.
He's got a hat-trick, actually, but we are hoping for more.
Absolutely.
Grateful for your time as well. And of course, Professor Ibotekse, grateful that you could help us share insights into all of these conversations we had on the show. The Citi Business Roundtable Discussion was proudly brought to you in partnership with Absa Bank. It was sponsored by MTN Ghana Limited, Petra Trust, Zondatech Ghana Limited, and of course, Absa as coming on board again as a sponsor. My name is Jude Duncan. I work for ChannelOne TV and Citi FM. I'm the host of the Total Energies Auto Show on Citi FM every Thursday at 4 p.m., which means that today you hear me on radio if you tune in. And of course, I host the Breakfast Daily Show on weekends here at ChannelOne TV. Thank you so much for being a part of the discussion. Catch you some other time. Bye-bye.